Hello, welcome to Clash of the Rams, the sports talk show. I'm your host, Jeremy Hayes. Along with me, we got Jared Doherty.
Glad to be here.
John Fanis.
Great to be here as well.
Daveson Perez.
Shout out to you, Mom.
And Mike McMahon.
Let's get week 2 going.
All right, yeah. Well, week 2, but also the end of the baseball season this week, which means the playoffs are coming. So, guys, what are your general thoughts on the end of the season and the upcoming playoffs?
Well, as October has finally hit and finally starting the narrowing down the final games of the MLB season. So it's going to be really interesting to tune into this because for the first time, we have implemented the second wild card team, which that's going to be very interesting to see what's going to happen.
John?
I'm personally very interested in the AL MVP race. Even though Mike Trout has had a great season and this is his first season, full season in the MLB, I think Miguel Cabrera is going to come through if he gets that triple crown. Him and Josh Hamilton are tied with the home runs with 43. So it'll be interesting to see what happens over the next 3 games.
Okay. Davidson?
All right, now I don't mean to make things worse for all Red Sox fans after this terrible season that we've been having, but there's another issue in terms of David Ortiz's contract on whether or not he's going to sign with the Red Sox next year. And we all know how big of a emotional leader that David Ortiz is for the Red Sox. I'll get a little bit into that in our discussion.
Yeah, definitely. Just building on what you said, it's going to be interesting to see, this last series with the Yankees, if it's possibly the last time we see David Ortiz in a Red Sox uniform. That's kind of scary. But I think tonight is definitely the big night for all these wild card races. Most teams that are in the race are 3 games back, so they need a win tonight to stay in contention. So tonight is a big night to catch any big baseball games.
Yeah, I was actually going to say that. Like you mentioned, Red Sox fans, baseball's non-existent this year, but for the MLB, this is really one of the better seasons, in a long time. We had our first AL teams clinch, yesterday? So it's just very interesting that, everybody's still in it, really.
And just to build off of that, the way the new wild card is set up, the Yankees, for example, everybody has 3 games. The Tampa Bay's 3 games back. And the Yankees, in order to be safe, for the Yankees to clinch, they have to win 1 game. Same thing with Oakland. If they win 1 game against the team that they're facing today, Oakland facing the Rangers and Yankees facing the Red Sox, which they should,
Yeah, well, there's 3 teams in the AL right now that have clinched at least a playoff spot. Whether they win the division or get the wild card is yet to be determined. But, the Yankees and the Orioles are definitely in. It just depends on which one's going to get the division, which one the wild card, and then the Rangers are definitely in. And then floating there in the background, you got the A's and the Rays, and even the Angels. But the Angels are kind of like the long shot right now. So depending on what happens, if Oakland gets swept versus the Rangers, it'd be interesting. That would make things very, very cool to see. And could go.
Seriously,
yeah, there's just so much that can happen. It's just awesome with all these teams just colliding at the very end. That's what the MLB wanted to do with the second wild card, just have an actual contention towards the end, have an actual race towards the end instead of just having 4 teams already in just from the beginning of September, and it makes it interesting.
And it's just great. It's just great for the fans. For the fans to focus on these last couple games and really integrate themselves with the league even more than they are, with NFL and NBA receiving all this hype and all this success over the years. It's good to get more attention into baseball.
Yeah, definitely. I definitely think this is a great move by baseball to add this second wild card spot. I mean, it adds so much emphasis on winning the division now because, you never know. It's that 1-game elimination wild card game. A team like the Yankees, man, I don't know. CC Sabathia has kind of been kind of questionable lately. They might not be able to win that 1 game, against the A's, and that would be huge. I mean, the Yankees were the best team in baseball for so long. They kind of faded, and now, hey, I mean, their World Series run might be ruined because of this 1-game playoff.
Well, first of all, you mean the Red Sox. They have to win against the Red Sox and then
I mean,
potentially race today.
Well, yeah.
But that's
not
really
cheering
tough.
Red Sox.
I really do agree. It puts the Red Sox, the Yankees rather, in a possibly tough spot if the Red Sox were to sweep them, because then if the Red Sox were to sweep the Yankees and the Rays were to sweep the Baltimore Orioles, then we'd have a tiebreaker, and that's great for the sport, and it just make the way to the playoffs even tougher for the Yankees, which is something all of us Red Sox fans want.
Yeah.
If there's any Red Sox fans still watching, the Red Sox have lost 9 of the last 10, 5-game losing streak. But if there's anyone watching, any fans of the Red Sox who still don't like the Yankees, you'll be cheering for the Red Sox this week. Give a chance. The Yankees may not make may not win the division. Might have to face that wild card game. So it'll be really interesting.
All right, well, it will be interesting to watch, and we gotta see what happens this upcoming week. We'll talk about it more. All right, moving on though, we're gonna go to the NFL, which Week 4 is now over, going on to Week 5, and the Arizona Cardinals are on top. Who would have? I had Arizona Cardinals being the worst team this year. Like, honestly, that's just me being honest. So, what are your thoughts on anything else this season, as far as so far in the year?
Yeah, Jerry, you kind of stole my line. I was going to talk about the Cardinals, but no. I mean, so the Cardinals are 4-0, but hey, look at the other spectrum. Saints are 0-4. Yeah. Never would have guessed that. I mean, I know they have the struggles with the coaching situation and the whole Bounty Gate working out, but I really thought that Drew Brees was going to be able to, carry this team through some tough games. And really, I mean, he's been performing well, but the defense is just struggling so much. It's tough to see them coming back.
And for New York fans, is it Tebow time yet?
Oh my God.
Is it Tebow time? It definitely isn't Mark Sanchez time with the game that he had last night. Mark Sanchez played a horrible game. He had 100-plus passing yards. He didn't score. He didn't have a touchdown pass. It was just things are just terrible for the Jets right now. They lost Antonio Holmes. Darrelle Revis is gone. I just don't know where they're going right now. And yeah, I mean, why not throw Tebow in there? He's been itching to be the quarterback for the team, so let's do it.
Did you say the T word on my show?
I said
for the
I
first
said
time
the
in
T
like
word.
6 months.
I said Tebow. I mean,
we made it one episode finally without
an
him.
answer. They need an answer for the year that they've been having.
We'll come back to that, but
Moving
Sean,
on from Tebow
yes,
time.
thank you. Yeah.
I want to discuss the parity the NFL's having right now. You got teams like the Denver Broncos and the Green Bay Packers at 2-2. The Detroit Lions in the NFC North, a playoff team last year, at the bottom of the division. And the Minnesota Vikings, a lot of people had the Minnesota Vikings finishing in the top 10 for their draft. And they're 3-1 right now with some impressive wins over the 49ers. Another great team. This is just a great year if you're a fan. And the NFC West, what happened to them? There's 2-2 teams at the bottom of the division. San Francisco's 3-1 is considered one of the best teams, and of course the Cardinals are 4-0. Yeah. It's just a great year to watch football because we all thought the NFC West was going to be one of the worst divisions, and they're just one of the best now. Who would have thought that coming into the season?
I don't think anybody did. Sure.
And back to the Tim Tebow topic. Think about this for a second. Just think about this. The Jets, the fans want Tim Tebow coming out here. Isn't that pathetic? If the fans believe that their only hope is Tim Tebow coming out, I think that's just absolutely pathetic, and I think it's just a joke and embarrassing for the Jets.
All right, I actually have to step in for a second with this whole Tebow. I don't even know why it's a conversation right now. We're 4 games into the season. Let's chill out a little bit. They lost a big game yesterday, but they're 2-1. They're number 1 in their division. Now all of a sudden we're gonna say, abandon ship. We need to go to Tebow.
It's absolutely pathetic.
But here's the thing. You see, we had the replacement refs, right?
Yeah.
And Mark Sanchez had a monster game against Pittsburgh. He had a decent game against Pittsburgh. The bad game he had yesterday just amplifies the fact that he had such a terrible game, or that he is such a terrible quarterback. I honestly don't want to say terrible, because Mark Sanchez is not terrible, but he hasn't lived up to expectations.
Exactly.
He's not getting the job done.
He's not getting the job done right now.
He has never gotten it.
And that just brings to light that now that we have the real refs, the professional refs, and he had this bad game compared to when he had the good game with the replacement referees, like, what's up? You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like, how are you doing bad now that the professional refs are here and when the replacement refs were?
Yeah.
Well, to be fair, Stephen Hill and Dustin Keller weren't active for yesterday's game, so he didn't have all of his options. Still, 138 passing yards or whatever he had. That's pathetic.
Yeah, totally. Come on. He lost Holmes too, right, in the game yesterday?
Yeah,
he lost Holmes, and on the play, Santonio Holmes. Santonio Holmes, I think, is a selfish player because even on that play, even though he got injured, no one touched him, but he still dropped the ball, and I'm pretty sure the defense picked it up and ran back for a touchdown.
Yeah, and then the other thing too, the Jets don't really have a running game. Sean Green's kind of struggled, and that doesn't help the quarterback situation at all. I mean, it'd be one thing if they were able to establish a run game and kind of get it going, but Sean Green, I mean, he's kind of struggled.
We're going to go to Jared, then we're going to move on to the next subject.
I'm so glad this conversation about the replacement refs is done. I believe you even said it last week. It's like a WWE event.
Yeah.
Just every week. It's just, you just see everyone talking about the replacement refs. It's just, stop. They're finally over. I don't need to hear about this anymore. We can just move
Exactly.
on.
Nothing
Move
to
on with the
talk about
season. We
now.
don't need to hear
Yes.
about it anymore. It's done.
And I agree. I take back what I said. NFL, I think, is now back on top now that they have the regular refs.
Definitely back to normalcy.
Yeah. All right, we're going to move on to our next segment, which is our interview segment with a Suffolk University athlete. In this case, we have two athletes, which are two volleyball players who are captains of their team, Maggie HILLMAN, excuse me, and Colbey Kennedy. So we're going to send it off to Ashley.
Hello, I'm Ashley Cascio, and today we have volleyball captains Maggie HILLMAN and Colbey Kennedy. How are you two today?
Good, how are you?
I'm great. So how would you both describe this volleyball season so far?
Different. We're actually winning this year, which is awesome. And it's just been really fun. I can't play because first, in the beginning of the season, I was sick, and now I'm injured. But even just sitting on the bench and watching, it's still fun to watch.
Yeah.
We had a lot more talent come out this year, and not necessarily just freshmen. We had a bunch of transfers, and everyone just clicked well together. Everyone has a spot. There's no weak links in our team like there used to be in previous years. So it's really nice to just be able to trust our team in every aspect.
So what would you say is different about your team this year that separates you from previous years as far as winning?
I would say that we're much better friends this year, and we get along better because some of us have known each other longer, and the chemistry on the court just looks a lot better.
It comes down to trust when you're playing on the court, because if you don't trust someone to get a ball, you're going to try to go for it, and it just creates collision. But everyone, we're all friends, like Maggie said, and everyone just trusts each other. And like it comes back to the talent. The freshmen took on their role. The transfer students put in their role and are doing great. So.
And we have pasta parties this year.
How would you describe sophomore Tori Brio as far as how much she contributes to your team?
She's a great attribute. She switched her position this year from middle to outside, and that did a wonder for the team.
Great.
She's extremely aggressive, so that helps sometimes. But she does a lot for our team, and she's leading in kills right now, and that, of course, kills are how you win games, so she's doing well.
Great. So what do you individually both feel like you can personally improve on in your own game?
I could watch more closely and take better stats and just cheer more and just be more like a supportive captain for the team on the bench.
Well, we have very supportive captains, including senior captain Hannah Davis, who is our middle hitter. She brings a lot of energy to the court, and basically that's what I need to do more of too, because my voice is gone right now, so I can't really talk loudly, but our biggest problem, I would have to say, is communication. So as long as we pick that up, we should be fine this year.
Great. Well, thank you so much for being with us today. This is Ashley Cascio with Maggie HILLMAN and Colbey Kennedy. Back to you, Jeremy.
All right, former soccer player Taylor Twellman was on hand at Suffolk University to talk to the school about concussions. And Mike, you were there. Do you have any thoughts on anything about concussions in sports?
Well, yeah, they were there to talk about, raising awareness for paying attention to concussions and the importance in youth sports, especially starting all the way as young as like kids who are 6 years old playing soccer, football. That even though the kids are smaller, the force of contact with the head, blows to the head, it's a big deal when you're young. And even as you get older, they could start to affect you later on in life. You look at Jim McMahon and the other guys. Taylor Twellman was one of them too. Yeah. So they talked about paying attention to youth sports, and then another thing, player honesty. If you have a concussion, you have to be able to go to your coach or whoever's in charge there and be able to tell the person in charge that you have a problem, that you don't feel right, you can't perform. You even look at pros, like Sidney Crosby. The reason why he missed so many months is because he had a concussion already, and then he got a second one, and he never told him about the first one. That's what made it so bad. So it's a big issue in sports right now.
Yeah, it is a big deal. And we actually got time to talk to Taylor after the whole seminar. So here's the video.
We're raising the awareness and education of concussions in sports, and even off the field and away from sports, and just trying to spread the word with good guys like Chris Nowinski, who's done a lot in this area, and it's been good.
All right, you mentioned Chris Nowinski. Did he start all this? Did he inspire you to get involved at all, or no?
Well, I mean, you guys listen to him speak. How are you not inspired? I mean, Chris Nowinski took an injury that he had that he still has and still lives with and deals with every day. And he's done a wonderful job of trying to turn a negative into a positive. And guys like myself should be inspired, and that's why, I've started my own foundation. We're trying to educate and get the awareness of concussions. But a big round of applause is deserving for Chris Nowinski.
How about your injury from 4 years now to today? How is it right now for you?
It's been better. It's definitely gotten a lot better. It's 18 months ago to 2 years ago, I would not have been able to sit on this stage and talk for longer than 20 minutes. It's been good. I'm improving. I'll beat it. And I'll be speaking about it to the rest of my life. So there's an example for kids out there that this guy got post-concussion. He didn't commit suicide. He didn't take his life, and he still lives a normal life. So I'm going to beat it.
You say you're going to beat, but also on Outside the Lines, one time you talked about dreaming. Is there anything still, you say you're recovering, but is there anything still that's a little off?
Well, I haven't worked out in 3 years, so I haven't got my heart rate over 130 in 3 years because through the process of understanding the injury, I realized that when I worked out, I gave myself a bad headache, so I just stopped working out. That's improved. I now dream. I now can go see movies. I now can go to a bar with my girlfriend and enjoy that atmosphere and not have a serious headache and have to leave. So there's definitely parts of my life that have improved, but I've also have to given up some stuff, and part of that is the athletic portion of my life that I did my whole life without thinking about it. I can't work out right now.
And we talked about the past and all that. What's your future? What would you like to do beyond soccer, beyond raising awareness? What are you doing with your life right now as a profession?
I work for ESPN. I am their lead soccer analyst and commentator with Alexi Lawless, and it's been fun.
All right, thank you for joining us tonight.
On behalf of Clash of the Rams, we would like to thank Taylor Twellman for joining us. Thank you. Now we're going to finally go on to our final segment, which is Clash of the Rams, the debate. So this week, it's going to be Mike versus Daveson. Mike, you got to make up for last week. Your first loss. You need to make up
I'm pretty confident.
All right, so we're going to judge the debate, and you two are going to debate for 3 minutes. I'll cut you off. Just make sure you stop when I cut you off, okay? All right, now the topic is Michael Vick the right quarterback for the Philadelphia Eagles? Go.
I mean, yeah, he might not be an elite quarterback in terms of, your typical quarterback, but he's the right quarterback for this offensive system. I mean, they're 3-1. I mean, you can't badmouth a quarterback who gets his team to 3-1. He's turning the ball over the last 2 weeks, which is a good thing. And this offense, when he's playing well, this is one of the best offenses in the league, no doubt.
All right, I disagree, because first of all, the Eagles are 3-1 by accident. Did you not see their first 2 games? How small of a margin they won by? Like, Michael Vick is not the future. First of all, Michael Vick is not the future.
Well, they just signed him to a huge contract, so he is the future.
I mean, they need to do something. They need to trade him. They need to get him out of there because, listen, he is 32 years old.
That's not that old.
He is inconsistent in terms of his health, first of all, and his ability to stay in the pocket, which is obviously a question.
Well, that's not his fault. That's his offensive line's fault for not protecting him.
All right, I understand, but the fact that he scrambles and puts himself into situations that he can get injured, that's a liability. How are you going to waste money and invest money into somebody
that could get injured?
All right, but Michael Vick has shown that he's more apt to. Ben Roethlisberger is probably one of the sturdiest quarterbacks in the league, and he's been hit a ton of times, but there's only been a few times where he's been injured. Michael Vick is so susceptible to injuries that he's not the future. Like, okay, maybe like 4 or 5 years down the line.
That's a pretty significant time in the future, though.
I mean, 4 or 5 years earlier. 4 or 5 years earlier in his career, he was a good investment. But now, in terms of money, like, why would you invest all of that money into this guy when he's not even consistent health-wise?
I mean, they signed him to a long-term deal. I mean, they put their faith in him, and I think they're right for doing it.
For the wrong reason. Why would you put
Because when he plays good, they are one of the best offenses. They have so many weapons, and he is the center of it. They've got McCoy and Jackson and Vick. That
He's
works.
not the center. The center of their success this year has been by far the defense. The defense and the fact that they've been able to keep teams within distance for Vick to magically win a game is why they've been winning.
Okay, but yeah, so the defense has been playing good, and they're 3-1. So let's go ahead and change quarterbacks. That's what you want to do.
I think
And who's going to play quarterback if Vick's not playing quarterback?
They're obviously not going to find somebody now. But honestly, the NFL draft is coming up, and they can definitely find some prospect from college.
All right.
Because listen, Michael Vick is not the answer. I'm trying to preach to you.
But he's
Michael
not.
Vick is not the answer.
But he's
Like,
not the problem.
He is the problem.
He's not the problem.
All right, let's say he's not the problem. But listen, he will be the problem in the future. So if you're gonna think about building a franchise and keeping a winning record instead of an 8-8 season from last year, you got to start thinking about changing your quarterback. You got to start thinking about it because especially
Okay,
if you have
well,
a quarterback, which again health is a questionable thing for
They
him.
were 8-8 last year. They almost made the playoffs. So that's just what I mean. The NFC East is one of those divisions where teams bang each other up, and you don't need to be like 12-4 just to make the playoffs. You could be 9-7.
Time, sorry. Gotta cut you off. But, guys, who do you think won that?
I have to go with Mike.
I have to go with Daveson.
Honestly, I'm going to have to go with Daveson. Sorry, Mike, again, but...
You all witnessed it.
Is that that's your first one?
I think that's my first.
Congratulations.
I've-
Yes, you
all
deserve
the-
it.
Am I really owned to?
Well, yeah, you also won last year, though, so I mean...
Am I really? Is this happening?
This is real life, yeah.
Right.
You'll make a comeback. I
Yeah.
believe. You're good enough. All right, well, that was a pretty great debate, though, I gotta say.
Yeah,
All right.
When the Eagles make a Super Bowl run.
All right, now we're going to move on to our Ram Rants, which involves each of us talking about something that didn't happen in the show or just something you want to go back to. So go ahead and start us off.
Well, as being a huge hockey fan my entire life, it's a little bit of a reality check for everyone. The date's October 1st. If you think back to last year, on October 1st, tonight would be the 6th preseason game for the Boston Bruins. And the fact that just this isn't happening, it's just a reality check to realize the hockey season may be in another lockout and we're going to be missing a season. It's just really pathetic. It's going to be a really sad October with the Red Sox not making the playoffs for the third year and just being terrible. It's going to be a really sad October for being a Boston sports fan.
Man, way to bring us down. John, good.
I want to talk about my Detroit Lions and just how bad their special teams and defense are doing right now. They've given up so many long plays because of the fact that our star safety, Louis Delmas, isn't there. And our special teams has become the first special teams ever since at least 1940 to give up 2 special teams touchdowns for 2 consecutive weeks. They're so bad, they don't even keep records anymore for how bad, just to describe it.
Wow. All right, so what I'm talking about this week is Ray Allen in a Heat uniform, which, if you're a Boston Celtics fan, that was pretty disappointing. Just the whole situation, I'm going to go through it real quick, but it's just the fact. It'd be like if Chris Bosh right now went to the Lakers and was like arm in arm with all the players. It's like after 5 years, you're really going to jump over that now and go on to something else and not stick with your team. It's honestly just pathetic, and I mean, go on right now. We don't want you anymore. As a Celtics, that's a Celtics fan saying. As a reporter, it's still just a shame. Go ahead, Daveson.
All right, what I'm going to be talking about is steroid use in Major League Baseball with Melky Cabrera's suspension, obviously, of 50 games. He was projected not to start, to start in the postseason, but he dropped out. The Giants told him that they didn't want to have him on the team for the playoffs this season. And it's just terrible for the game. The steroid use and everything with Bartolo Colon. And more importantly, a thing that I want to touch on is steroid use and lying within the Hispanic community of baseball players. It's just getting out of hand now. Like, you're propelling the fact that Dominicans and Hispanics usually cheat in sports, and there are a lot of great players who played in our history that showed that you don't need steroids to do all that. So the fact that these Hispanics are coming out the woodwork and cheating using steroids is really near and dear to my heart. I don't like to see it.
I have a more feel-good story in the spectrum of Major League Baseball. Adam Greenberg, back in 2005, came up, was supposed to play his first game with the Cubs back in 2005. And in his first pitch of his first at-bat, he got hit in the head by a 92-mile-an-hour fastball, suffered a severe concussion, never made it back to the Major Leagues. 7 years later, the team he was playing in that game, the Marlins, signed him to a one-day contract. He's due to play on Tuesday. Isaac Guillen said he was thinking about starting him and having him play right field. It'd be great to see him get 5 at-bats, maybe get a couple base hits in there.
Definitely.
Yeah, it will be nice to see you. When is that?
It's Tuesday, I believe, tomorrow.
All right, make sure you tune into that, because that's a chance to be a movie, right?
If he goes yard,
Yes.
It's going to be a movie.
All right, well, that's all, I guess, right, for today. That's us for Clash of the Rams. We'll see you guys next week.